I'm back at the M20 trailhead west of White Cloud. Same place I was last week for a hike. Last week I went south. Today I'm going to cross the road and head north of M20. So here's where my trail starts for today. In 1 week's time, the trees have really leafed out. The woods are noticeably greener than they were a week ago. Just coming to my first water source. My map says this is Second Coal Creek. Nice little creek with flowing water. I'm assuming that somewhere up ahead there's a way to cross it. We'll see. Okay, here's a bridge. And the trail continues. About a half hour into the hike, here's a gravel road, which is a road that goes north-south, comes off of M20. So the trail crosses and continues on to the west a little bit. At about 40 minutes into the hike, another gravel road crossing. There seems to be gravel roads and two tracks that crisscross through this area quite often. My trail continues right here. I might just add here, the reason I'm doing these hikes, the North Country Trail Association has a 50-mile and a 100-mile challenge going for 2018. If you go 50 miles within the calendar year, you can get the 50-mile patch. If you go 100 miles on the NCT within 2018, you can get the 100-mile patch and the 50-mile patch. Last year, I tried to make 100 miles, got up to about 80, and then the bad fall weather set in, and I stopped hiking for the season, so I didn't quite make the 100 miles. This year I'm hoping to do it. I post these on YouTube, not because I'm hoping to get any money for it, because I don't have enough views not near enough views to even think about getting any payment for posting on YouTube. But I just like to document my hikes, and if anybody else is thinking about hiking these sections of the trail, they can watch the video and see what the trail looks like and be aware of any problems. So I'm continuing north through the woods. Well, here's something I haven't seen before. Sign says it's a bearing tree. Not because bears hang out here. But it gives the coordinates and tells you exactly where you are. I've never come across one of these before. Just off the side of the trail here. Almost an hour into my hike, and I'm seeing what looks like a tree house off to my left. Not sure what it is. There's kind of an old two-track here that leads up to it. There's really no sign announcing what it is. And then over there, there's looks like a piece of old farm machinery and a place where the gravel road did a turnaround. So I'm going to climb up these steps and see if I can figure out what this is here for. Two office chairs inside. And the door is open. I would say this is probably somebody's hunting blind. Those purple things underneath the window. Is soft foam, probably to rest your gun barrel on. The windows look out in 3 different directions. So yeah, that's my conclusion. It's somebody's little hunting house for deer hunting season, maybe. Well, now that I get done trespassing, I see that there's a sign right here. It says posted private property. So The trail here runs right alongside some private property. So, sorry for trespassing. I couldn't resist though. Coming to a paved road here. Sign says it's 3 Mile Road. And the trail continues on the other side. Just came into some pines. So far I haven't seen much in the way of pine trees, but this is an area where they seem to grow naturally. They're not in straight rows, so I don't think this was a plantation. Just came to a meadow off to my right. It looks muddy right there, so I suspect that this is a wet area, which I'll stay out of. The trail's over here and skirts around it. Yeah, there's low areas there that have standing water in them. So it's probably an area that turns pretty swampy when it gets a lot of rain. There's another low wet area off to my left. Trail continues along the edge of it. Came across a pine tree here that has lots of dead branches growing out, coming out from the trunk down fairly low. And when that's the case, oftentimes the joints where the branch meets the trunk is full of pine resin. So I sawed off a couple of them. This makes for really good fire starting. These things will burn like crazy. We call this fat wood. That's where I sawed the branch off. And the trail is right there. Came to a 2-track crossing here, which is marked 4 Mile Road. It isn't much of a road, but I think if you go down a ways, I think it does connect with a more substantial road, according to my map. So I've been hiking a little over 2 hours now, and it's time for me to look for a lunch spot and then think about heading back. So I'll go up the trail here a ways and see if I can find a suitable lunch spot. Well, the trail's on a little ridge here above a a wetland with a little pond out there. Kind of a pretty spot. I see a good sitting log right there. That's going to be my lunch spot. And there's a good open spot there to have a cooking fire in my small wood stove. So that's what I'm going to do for the next hour or so. This is kind of a big open area, and it looks like there's the remains of an old two-track road that runs right there in about the middle of the frame. Over there somebody's cut some firewood at some point. And then over here are the remains of somebody's campfire. Probably from last year because it has leaves falling all over it. But I'll set up for my lunch over here. Well, I've got my stove ready. I've got a pile of twigs next to it. In the stove I've got some dried ferns that were off the ground and I think will be pretty flammable. And then I've got some shavings from the fat wood that I gathered earlier. So I'm going to see if I can get a fire going here. Well, I got my fire started quickly. It did take quite a while to come to a boil because my twigs are a little on the damp side. So now that it's simmering, my lunch will only take about 5 minutes. Well, I'm on my way back now. Finished lunch, and the sun is starting to come out. It's warming up quite a bit. This morning I was wondering about my choice of shorts and just a t-shirt to hike in. It was about 55 degrees. But now that it's warming up, I'm glad I've got the shorts on. It's supposed to be 70 degrees or so today, and I guess it's going to make it now that the sun's out. Well, I've been walking hard and fast for, an hour and 21 minutes. I'm back to the creek crossing, the little wooden bridge that I passed earlier in the day. So I'm not too far back from my car, my parking spot. So I'll keep going. Well, I see M20 up ahead. So I'm back to my parking area. It took me an hour and 40 minutes to get back here. I hiked 11 and a half miles altogether. But I would have to say that the southbound trail that I did last week was the better of the two segments, just because of the points of interest, the creeks and the river, and multiple bridges. I passed some mountain bikers on the trail, and this is probably where they parked also. They were headed northbound. So I'm headed back to Grand Rapids. I'll see you on the next hike.